Hi, I'm Charlotte from Mollie and Jo. Today I'm going to show you how to make one of these Fairy Pom Pom Christmas decorations. Thank you, Kath, for letting me take part in this winter wellness weekend. I'm a little bit nervous because this is the first time I've done one of these videos, and I kind of wish I had one of Izzy's winter cocktails from last night. Well, I kind of wish I had because I've had one of her cocktails before and yeah, they're a bit lethal, but they're great. Anyway, let me show you what you're going to need. First of all, you're going to need some kind of pom-pom maker. Now, you can either get a shop bought one, there's lots of different types of ones you can get, or you can make a pom-pom maker at home from cardboard, and in the comments below there should be a link with instructions on how to make it, how to use it, and how to make your pom-pom. But I'm going to show you using one of these makers. And they're great because they come in lots of different sizes. The size we're going to make is sort of like a medium sized one. So they're about 7 or 8 centimeters diameter. These are clover ones, and you can get them from like Hobbycraft, any like local independent store. And yeah, they're really simple. So basically we're going to need one of these. You're going to need some wool, obviously, or if you didn't want to make a pom-pom with wool, you can use tulle, which gives a different effect, which is really nice. You're going to need some little wooden beads, and you're going to need these in 3 different sizes, but we'll come to that in a minute. A bit of ribbon. You're going to need some paint or marker pens, a bit of glue, scissors, pencils, usual sort of craft stuff. So first thing we'll do is make our pom-pom. So we'll go back to our maker. This is really simple tool to use. So it's got 2 little arms, and what we're going to do is we're going to wrap wool around each one so they come together and you have your pom-pom. So first of all, you pull one arm out, you get your wool, and you take your bit of the end of your yarn, tail of your yarn, you put it through one of these arms like that. And I'm left-handed, so you can either be mirroring me or you'll probably be using the opposite hand. I find that when I'm making the pom-poms, I hold the pom-pom maker in my right hand and wind the wool around with my left. So if you're right-handed, like my husband reminds me that most people are except for me, then you will be doing it the opposite way to me. So you just basically wrap it round, and the idea is that you want to fill this semicircle completely. So a good start with this, need them all out of the way, is just keep wrapping, and I find that I just do one layer, just like a nice thin layer at the bottom. Keep going. It's really therapeutic doing this. Like, you know, I sit and I watch TV doing it. My son loves doing it, so it's great with kids. He went through a phase when he started making pom-poms, just non-stop making them last year, and we just had pom-poms everywhere. So I've done, say, one layer here and just covered it. So then the idea is just to keep going back and forth and just wrapping it around. And depending on the size of the pom-pom you're making, the size of the wool you're using, it will take varying amount of times to completely fill this. So you just keep going back and forth and you go faster, but be careful that when you're doing it, you don't do what I've just done there, which is get the wool caught over here, because you'll do that, not realise you've done it, look back and like, oh, I have to unravel it all. So you can be speedy, but just be a bit mindful of that. And just keep going, and you know, you could sit and watch me doing this for ages, but you probably don't want to, so I will show you one that I made earlier, a bit Blue Peter style. So keep going until it's filled completely like that. And once you've filled one side, you close it, and then you open up the other side, and you snip off your wool, and then you start again in the same way. I'm just going to show you, if you were using tulle, how you could do that. So usually when you get tulle, you get it in quite like wide rolls, but if you sort of scrunch it together, so it's quite narrow and thin, and you slot it in the same way between the arms, and you wrap it round again, and you keep going, and you do it exactly the same way as you do with your wool, and you keep going until it's completely full, and then we close two together. So let's go back to the one I've made earlier. I've just finished this one off. So you've got one that has been completely full, and as you can see, I cut it off and put it back in. And then this side, I'm just going to keep going round. Do it the left-handed way again. Just keep going until I'm really happy. You don't want to overfill it, because when it comes to cutting it, it can be quite tricky. Your scissors might not get through it, and also when you put it back in, it just needs to be a nice sort of snug fit, just not too tight, not too loose, but not too tight. So then we just cut off the end bit. We don't want any more. And so you've got your two bits. Now with these, the reason I really like these particular makers is they have a little groove in here which you can sort of slot your scissors in when you're cutting them. So we need to cut along here and also basically cut around the edge. Now the really key thing to do is, once you started cutting, don't open up these arms again, otherwise you're just going to have wool everywhere. So you take your scissors, and then there's a little slot here, and holding the arms down, you just snip. And as you can see, it sort of starts to come apart, and you can see the sort of effect that you're going to have with the wool. I'm going to keep going. It's got several layers, so sometimes it's worth just sort of getting halfway through and snipping it. Obviously, like I said, if you're using your at-home like cardboard pom-pom maker, there'll be instructions on how to use that. So and I think there are on that link, there are ones that tell you exactly how to do it. It's just different ways to get the same effect, really. So I've come over to the other side and doing that. See, I've wrapped this one quite well because it's a bit tough to cut through. Here we go. Just a little bit more. There we go. Right, now I've got those two bits together. What I want to do now is tie it around to secure it. So you can either use twine if you want a bit of a rustic look. Use ribbon. These ribbons are great. They're the sort of ones that you get hanging in your clothes, like just to hang up, and I find them really handy. You can use some embroidery thread. You can use some sparkly ribbon. The only thing is, be aware that whatever ribbon you use or string that you use is thin enough to go through your beads. Okay, so here where we were cutting, you'll have a little hole or a little slot that you can slide your ribbon through. And what you want to do is you pull it through, and we're going to do a knot. You want to make sure that each tail end is even. So we tie it, pull it really tight and firmly, and then I'll do a double knot to really secure it. Okay. And then what we do is we're going to release it from its pom-pom maker. So we lift the two arms on either side, which is okay to do now that you've tied it, and it shouldn't fall apart, hopefully. Lift the two arms, and then we take the two sides off. Pom-pom maker to the side. Give it a little shake, and you have your pom-pom. Okay, fluff it out. But like with everything, it's not particularly perfect, so you might want to give it a little bit of a haircut. You could do that just by trimming it off, and you don't want to over trim it, but you know, you want it to be even. I mean, sometimes the more you trim it, you could end up accidentally making it really skew and uneven, but I think this one's okay. I have done one earlier, but again, I'm looking at it and I'm already seeing, I keep seeing bits that I think, oh, I need to trim off so it can get a bit addictive. But we'll put our pom-poms to one side and just show you quickly that all the different types of pom-poms, if you're using different yarns, if you want to do tulle, for example, it gives you this kind of very fluffy netted effect. If you do use it to make your pom-pom, just make sure that when you tie it up really tight, because it does tend to spring apart. So, but yeah, so got those. Now we've done that, need to get on and make the body parts of it. So like I said, you're going to need some wooden beads. Again, you can get these in craft shops, get them on Amazon, but I've got 3 different beads in 3 different sizes, and so this would be the body, and then we've got the head, and we've got like a little tiny bead which would be for like a little top knot, so that's completely optional. Really the main thing is that you have at least 2 different wooden beads that are 2 different sizes. I've gone for a 25mm for the body, 20mm for the head, and a little 5mm for a little top knot. You don't have to use wooden beads. I just think that they're, well, you can customise them. You could use, sort of like, if you've got plastic beads around, coloured beads already, you could just use those. So we need to colour our beads in. So we're going to need some paint. I have these fabric pens. They're acrylic pens. You could just use paint and a paintbrush, but I personally like these pens. So you're going to need something to lean on. And they're great, just give them a shake. And simply for the body, you pick your colour, sort of complement the wool you're using, and you simply just colour it in. And it dries really quickly. Just get a bit more. And generally I find you only need 1 coat, which is good. So it makes this like quite a quick little craft. The other thing that might be handy to have is like a little skewer or something that you can put through, like a cocktail stick or barbecue skewer, and put it through your bead, and then you can sort of hold it up and you don't get so mucky, and it's also helpful when you're drying it. But of course I have made one already. There you go. And that's just 1 coat of just colouring it in, which is good. So put that to one side, because next bit is the bit that you can really customise, which is the head. So you take your medium size bead, and as you can see on mine, I've got lots of different little hairstyles, little faces. It's completely up to you what you do. Like, I've got my little kind of ballerina, I guess, with just little top bun. I've got this one with no bun, which is kind of like a 20s style flapper. Up to you how you want to do it. Got a little red head here as well. So all you would have to do is get a pencil, really simply just draw on your design. And a really good thing about the pen with the paints is that it tends to cover it. If you want something a little bit finer to use for a bit more detail, use Sharpie pens or just like marker pens. You can use either. So I just draw a little sort of fringe. I just make sure the hair goes down to the end. 2 little dots for eyes, and I find I just draw a little heart for the mouth. And then all I want to do is pick a colour and just colour it in, just draw around. I like this because you can adapt it, and you know, you can make them in the likeness of you, of family. If you don't want to, don't tell them if you know you don't want to insult them, or you know, I probably would insult them if I said, oh, this looks like my sister or something. But you just colour it in until you've got something like that. So just got a little fringe and just coloured all the way around. And now I'm just gonna add in 2 little eyes and a little mouth. So it's really simple. And just put it to one side to dry for a minute whilst you're, if you want to, colouring in a little top knot, which I've done already. You don't have to, like I said, you can do whatever you like. And then you'll end up with your body, your head, and your little top knot. And then all you need to do now is get your pom-pom that you made earlier, and you want to thread it through. And this can be a bit tricky, so sometimes it might be handy to find a needle and thread to thread it through. That will help. I find if I take one at a time, thread them both through, you do the same. You just pull it down. You don't need to knot in between each one. And start to throw or anything. Just trim off the ends. And try and put through. You have your bases of your doll, and like I said, you could add a little top knot in the same way. I'll put that to one side, and I will show you on this one the last part. So you'll end up, if you do it with the top knot, you end up with something like this one here. Now you can then, if you would like, sort of add a bit of glue. When you've added when you've put the last bead through, just do a little knot, and you can do a double knot. I would then just put a little bit of glue on to kind of secure it, and then you can do a little tie at the top so that you can then hang your fairy. And you can leave it like that, put it to one side. Or you can add some fairy wings. And all I've done here is so simple. Cut a little bit of tulle. I've got a sparkly tulle. Fold it in half. Give it a little twist. Put a little bit of glue on it. And then you stick it to the back, and you'd be left with her. And then last thing you can do if you want is decorate it. I've added little bits of decoration to this body by just drawing on some more paint, or you can leave it as it is. It's up to you. But yeah, so that's how you make a little Christmas fairy. Thank you.